Guys, Anna here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. If you are new here, my name is Anna and I like to build houses in The Sims 4. And yeah, I upload every Tuesday and Thursday and we just have a really fun time. This particular build is in the world which came with Strangerville, and it is on one of those, it's the Plateau Palace lot, which is one of those kind of mansions that is in the top part of the world, the more, I guess, affluent area. And this is the most classical Victorian build I've ever built. It is a beautiful build. It is a 4x2 Victorian style build. And my inspiration for this build was kind of that kind of curved veranda with that towered section. I just love this build. This is my favorite build of the month. I did struggle a lot with the floor plan, and you will see that when we go inside. This far left section left section is actually very long and it's very narrow, and I did struggle a lot with the floor plan and trying to work out what to do with that space. In the end, we do a study, a hallway that leads into like a entertainer's space, which has a bar and a sitting area, and then into the formal kitchen and dining. I think it works, and the reason I kept it is because I was so in love with the exterior of the build. This is the first time in a long time where the exterior of the build has trumped the interior for me. And I was so proud of myself for being able to achieve this. It's not a build that I would usually do. It looks a little bit more intricate than what I normally build. And I probably did not roof that front veranda curved section correctly. But I'm not phased. I'm happy with it. You know, it's you've got to start somewhere and we all learn. And I'm really proud of this build and how it turned out. And I absolutely would love to play in this build. And if you would love to play in this build too, it is available on the Sims 4 gallery. My gallery ID is Antoinette.44. It is in the description below. All right, so we have basically got the structure. This is the main structure of the build. We do add in a couple of items. So this build does have a backyard. It's not as big. I think I should have potentially moved the house a little bit forward, but there is a lot going on in the front. We have a lot of landscaping in the front. We add in a gazebo. I don't usually add in like a gazebo feature, but I decided to in this particular build, and I decided to put a wedding arch, and I think that's really sweet. I definitely feel like this is a build where, you know, a sim could get married and then stay and have a wedding. It's definitely an entertainer's type house. There's many areas to entertain. It's such a beautiful build. And then out the back, we do squeeze in a small pool and the standard kind of outdoor stuff that I put in. But the main part of the front that I really enjoy, obviously the exterior and how the actual structure looks, is the fountain. We put in a fountain in this build, and I never use fountains, and I'm so excited. And I just think that this build is just amazing. I could just rave about it all day long. Color scheme, interesting. I've gone in with this green. I really like this green. It's a base game green, and I've paired it with the matching kind of swatch that has the brick at the bottom, and I've used that brick in the chimney and in the main towered section. So yeah. All right, we are jumping inside, and this is what I mean by that long rectangled section. I really was in Struggle Town trying to work out how to best piece it all together, but I was really happy with the upstairs. So the upstairs floor plan worked so well that I was like, I am going to make the downstairs work because I'm so happy with the upstairs. So let's talk about the floor plan a little bit. So you walk into this kind of curved entryway that has the stairs. You then have the like a archway that leads into a general area that has your kind of sitting area with your bar. You then have an office and then you walk into what will be the kitchen and dining, and it also has a fireplace with a little bit of a seating area. The door to the back of the property is from off the kitchen, which is really nice. And I also think that's pretty realistic in like older homes as well. So that's really nice. So this is what I mean by that archway into that kind of open area. And then you have a living room, and then you walk into what is on the far right of the the left side of the build. And it's kind of like a library skill area. I really like it, but I felt like this particular build would have something like that. All right, we are in this entryway, and from this entryway, the moment I placed that armchair that came from Life and Death, the blue like spoke to me. So we do use a lot of blue in this particular pack. And speaking of Life and Death, we use a lot of Life and Death in this particular pack. So we use Life and Death, Base Game, Get Together, Strangerville. We don't use a lot of Strangerville as opposed to other than the building items, just because, I don't know, there's not really that much that came with that particular game pack. But I did, obviously, we are in the world of Strangerville, so I wanted to utilize that. And yeah, anything that's kind of Victorian or old-fashioned or vintage, that's the kind of stuff that I used to decorate this particular build. We are in the main kitchen area. I've gone with a more gallery-style kitchen. I am just going to put in that back door, and I do use the kitchen set. It's a combination. I use the appliances from Life and Death, but the cabinetry from the base game, because I preferred it more. We've gone in with a base game dining table with the get-together chairs. I love these get-together chairs. I think the Victorian-esque chairs that came with base game, they're not my favorite. The Vampires pack would have also been really good for that. That also has a really lovely kitchen set. I could have used that if I wanted to use the green, but I think I wanted to keep it a little bit more traditional with the wood tones. And yeah, I put in a kettle. That kettle's a bit modern, but I just don't like the other one. I don't like the other kettle, so I always use this one, even though it is a little bit modern. But yeah, okay. So this is the main space. From this area, we're just playing around with the cabinetry. I do put in more of those Life and Death armchairs in the kitchen area in front of the fireplace. And it's very reminiscent of when we did the large farm that we saw earlier in the month. You would have seen we use a lot of armchairs in that build, and we're using a lot of armchairs in this particular build. They're just so useful when you just have such large builds. These floor lamps from Business and Hobbies worked out really well for this kind of build. I've said it before, the white or the black swatch, it's plain, but it still has like an elegance about it that I really liked. We have gone with the fountain that comes with Get Together. I think it's beautiful. I love this. I was going to actually make my own fountain, but I'm not really familiar with the fountain tool, and I just felt that this pre-made fountain was going to be way better off. So I started with the fountain, and then I thought about how I wanted to lay this backyard out. So what I've done is I've got wraparound part thing that kind of centers around the fountain, and then I cover the pathway in some rocks, which you'll see shortly, and I do some fencing. I think I use a base game fencing around the entire build, and I use some gates, like twin gates, I think, and then so I've got this front area that just seems like there's a lot of grass, and it just seemed like a lot of empty grass. So that's where I decided to put the gazebo, and out the back, see how there's like not a lot of space. So as you can imagine, the pool is not very big, but nonetheless, we've got a pool, and I guess I just felt like a build like this would have a pool, and I think Strangerville gets hot. I'm not sure, but I think it gets hot. And as you can see, I got the inspiration to have the rocks lining the path from just the exterior of this build. If you look, you can see how the rocks line the paths. And I suppose if I had used debug, I could have got the exact rocks that were used. but I think it's okay. So it just lines all of these kind of marked areas that I put around the build. I do use a little bit of romantic garden stuff. These, I don't know what they're called, but they had this yellow swatch and they are beautiful. They paired really well with those yellow shuttered windows that we've used at the front of the build. I wasn't going to keep them, but then I found these flowers and I thought, no, they fit perfectly. So I was initially going to change the exterior coloring, but I'm glad I kept it. This build definitely grew on me, and I spent a lot of time on this build. It was not the biggest build of the month, but one of the biggest builds for sure. But I'm so happy with it. I'm so impressed with it. It's definitely, I see this as an achievement for me. Definitely something different for me. But yeah, you'll have to let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on this build so far in comparison to the other stuff that I kind of build. And, you know, do you prefer this stuff? Like, should I be building more of this? You'll have to let me know. All right, we've gone in with the gazebo. I did struggle a lot with the roofing. In the end, I just went with like a roofing that does not pair for the space at all, because I made it was a hexagon, but I made it wider, so it's not really a hexagon anymore. But yeah, anyway, it works. It's not the greatest, but it'll do. We are back inside decorating. So we are going to decorate this little hallway space that I've made into an entertainer's area. So you do have a piano, you do have a bar, and we do use the life and death love seat that we add in, that is just in that blue swatch. I've used this navy blue, royal blue kind of swatch throughout the whole entire house, and I really enjoy it. Yeah, so this left side, it was a pain. I did struggle with it. And I just, yeah, again, with the fountain and all that, it adds to the age and elegancy of this build. And I think that's what I think of when I think of a Victorian style build. So that's kind of what I've achieved here, I think. All right, let's go into the private office. This particular office, I don't know if it's realistic that it would be off like an entertainment space, but I didn't really know what to do with this. If this was not a Victorian home and it was a family home, I mean, it is a family home, but you know what I mean, like a suburban style home, I think I would have used this area for a gym. I think I really want to start putting gyms in my build. I feel like I've been saying this for ages and I always forget to do it. That and basements. I'm really feeling like basements, garages, gyms. What else am I feeling? Maybe like, maybe I should just do like a yoga studio. I'm really coming back to doing community lots. I really feel like I have an itch to try some community lots. Maybe try and do some builds that are out of my comfort zone. Like I see like on X, I see a lot of like the community who build like these really intricate community lots, and I just think they're beautiful and they do such a good job, and I kind of want to like give it a go, like maybe and see. Yeah. Anyway, we are in the kitchen and we are adding a range hood, which I am proud of myself for not forgetting. We're using this trolley that came with the kitchen clutter kit. I think this is great. Again, I've said it before, I use this in spaces where I feel like there's too much empty space, but there's not enough room to put a formal island. And I definitely felt that way with this particular kitchen. All right, so you go through the kitchen into a living room. So this is the formal living room of the house. I debated whether you should have the library skill room first before the living room, but we have decided to do the living room. The door off from the living room is the bathroom. So you have a downstairs bathroom, and then obviously through those double doors is that library kind of space. It does have an activity table for the children, and I think a gaming table, like the puzzles table, but it does have some further couches and some extra bookcases. So yeah, these are base game couches that I've used, paired with a base game center table. I did use the rug that came with Strangerville because I actually really like this rug. I love the quirkiness of some of the swatches. I utilize it quite a lot. The tiling that's in this bathroom also comes from Strangerville. Well, it doesn't. It does, but it doesn't. So this is the base game version of it, but the Strangerville has the same flooring swatch, but it's dirty. So I didn't really want to use the dirty version because it did not fit the aesthetic of this particular build, but I've used the base game version. So I think it's kind of close enough to using something Strangerville. These base game curtains are beautiful. I said it before in which build? I think it was in one of my builds this month. I can't remember which one, but I did use these curtains. No, it was the Gothic Victorian house that we built in Ravenswood, that 2x1. I use these curtains. I just love them. I think that they also pair very well with some of the swatches that came with base game. For example, this bed is base game, so that red really pairs well. Of course, I used a lot of Love Struck to go with this because it just matched the shade of red that I was chasing. Gone in with a desk. So this is the master bedroom. Did I mention that? Yeah. Anyway, layout of the upstairs. Let's talk about the layout of the upstairs. So you go up the stairs into a landing space, which has a bookcase and like a buffet table. And you go out to a main hallway that connects the master bedroom, the bathroom that's upstairs that is in that kind of towered curved section. And then you also have a teens room, which is pretty large, which could actually be like a second adult's room if you wanted it to be. And this is just a general hallway landing. That then wraps around back through to the more formal landing space, which then has the other 2 bedrooms in it and a very small improv playroom. It's a tiny room, but it was kind of like, I didn't want to do a 4x3 because if I wanted to do a 4x3, it could have been a bathroom. It's a perfect bathroom size, but I didn't want to do that. And it wasn't big enough to be a bedroom. So I kind of just made it as like a little area that has like some playroom and some toys in it. So that's what that smaller room is. And I believe we have it would be like an infant's room and a child's room. And that is the 4 bedrooms that are in this particular build. So I really like it. So this again is that hallway, that leads into the main upstairs bathroom and the master bedroom and the second kind of adult's room that we've got as a teen. All right, this is that little squared room that I was referring to that I just did not know what to do with this. It's kind of a little too large to leave empty. I guess I could have made this into like a closet or like I don't know, we call them like junk rooms or just like a storage room. I think that would have made sense thematically as well. But, I just made it into a playroom. We are in the child's room and this is really kind of purple and fun. Put in a desk, use a lot of base game in here. I've just changed the swatches of the curtains. I use these curtains all around but in different colors. And I think I love this plant. It's a base game plant. It's like lilies, but the purple is really pretty. And it pairs well with the purple base game swatches that we see. Going around, that's the other thing I used a lot in this particular build. The 4 rent lamp bedside table lamps. I use a lot of them in this particular build. I don't know why. They really fit the space. This is that infant's room. I used a lot of the Storybook nursery kit in here because it does have that more Victorian style. It's kind of like, I guess they had like the Goth family. This is more in the pastel color scheme in this particular build, but they do obviously have the swatches that are more for the Goth family inspired. All right, we are in that teens room. I've decorated as such, but you could obviously make this as a master bedroom or a larger adult's room. It would fit that particular bill. Again, I've used those 4 rent lamps. I've used base game bed, base game dresser, put in a TV, Basement Treasures TV. I like it because it's kind of small. Put in a gaming console, lots of like movie posters, which is really cool. A gaming chair, I think that comes from high school years. Punching bag, because why not? I had the room for it. And I am now in the library. So this is, I guess it's a library, but it's also just like a skilled area. It just has some fun stuff to do for the kids and the family in general. And it was just a good use of the space. I didn't really know what else to put in this space, and I'm really happy with it. I think it's a good, use of the space. I put in some speakers. I put in a really large painting that's Space Game. I've reused that couch again, and we are now outside. So we're now just going to put in the pool, the very small pool. I've put in some lounges. I do believe I put in a grill and the standard kind of table and chairs that I would normally put in. And I put in some gardening stuff, which is quite nice. And honestly, that is about it. We put in a swing set at the front, and I've got that wedding arch in the front under the gazebo, as I mentioned, and a flower arranging table on the porch, just so that there's something. And we are now live in game for the tour. So as you can see, there's that wedding arch and the gazebo, all the intricate landscaping, just such a beautiful area. You walk into this curved entryway into kind of like an entertainment space with a bar that leads into, you have your private office, which is quite nice in there, into the kitchen, dining, and where the fireplace is as well. Interesting combination of assets in this particular space. I did try to put in a backsplash in this wall, but I do end up removing it. I don't end up keeping it because it looks a bit ugh. We then go through into the living room, which has some kids' items, some books, TV, into the downstairs bathroom, into the library study area, and then we go upstairs into that formal like landing area that goes into the infant's room, child's room, into that small little playroom. Back through, down into the hallway, we go into the teens room, and all the way down the hall into the main upstairs bathroom. This is beautiful up here. And into finally what is the master bedroom, which I think is my favorite bedroom of the house. I love the red. All right, and then we go back through the kitchen through to the outside. You have the flower arranging table, you have an entertaining area, dining, pool, and you lap right back around to the front. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed this build as much as I did, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.